stitching friends, I'm Amy. I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher, and I'm super happy to be back with you today. I hope you're all doing well and having a lot of fun with your stitching. If this is your first time finding us, welcome. I'm so glad you've stumbled across our channel, and I hope you enjoy what we're doing. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Thank you so much for all of you who take the time out of your schedules to come and see what we're up to and what we're working on and hear us, natter on about our stitching from time to time. We really enjoy that, especially interacting with you in the comments. It's always nice to hear from you and to get to know you a little bit. And on the subject of getting to know you a little bit, I mentioned a couple of videos ago that one of our regular viewers and commenters, her name is Connie, she had reached out to me like last year, I think it was, and she was coming to the Seattle area and wanted to know if I'd be available to get together to meet up. And unfortunately, our schedules didn't work out and we couldn't do it, but she reached out again recently and was curious if it would work this time, and I'm happy to say that it did. So last weekend, Connie and I met up at one of the local Paneras, and Panera just seems to be like the place to meet up for if you're going to have a stitchy meetup. Panera is like the default. So we met at the local Panera, and we had lunch together. Thank you, Connie. And then we just spent a couple hours stitching and chatting and getting to know each other, and it was such a wonderful time. I really, really enjoyed chatting with her. We talked about life, we talked about stitching, we talked about all kinds of different stuff, and it was just, stitching is it tends to be such a solitary hobby, and I think, that's one of the reasons why so many of us look for or create stitchy groups. I know many of you, those of you who watch Pam and Steph, know that they've got Stitch Harmony, where they try and connect stitchers together who don't know anybody else in their area who stitches. And I think there's just something really special about having the opportunity to connect with another stitcher and just share life and share this hobby that we love, and build relationships. And so it was a real treat for me to finally get to meet Connie, to get to know her a bit. And I thoroughly enjoyed the time I spent with her. And so I'm really looking forward to the next time she's in the area. I'm hoping we'll be able to meet up again. But thank you again, Connie, for reaching out. I know it's hard to reach out to a stranger and kind of put yourself out there. And I'm so glad that you did, because it was such a pleasure to meet you, and to feel like I can now call you my friend. So yeah, that was really great. As far as other updates, I don't have a whole lot else to share. I do have a best new thing, and I don't normally do a best new thing on our videos. I know other Flosstubers, a lot of others do. But this week I have a best new thing, and it's not a stitchy best new thing, but I have to tell you guys about it because, as you know, our dogs Bear and Sophie, we talk about them reasonably often on our videos. They occasionally insert themselves in the conversation, whether that's through barking or snoring or jingling. And, you often see Sophie hard at work acting in her window guardian capacity behind me. But anyway, we got something new for the dogs this week, and I had to tell you guys about it because it's so cute. So because we live in the Pacific Northwest, anybody who lives in a fairly rainy area and has dogs knows that if you're going to walk your dog needs a rain slicker. It's just, they need it, like Scottish friends, right? So Bear and Sophie have had like matching rain slickers for a couple of years, and those have worked out really well. And Sophie tore hers recently. I don't know how she did it, but she tore it. And so we haven't been getting our rainy day walks because we don't have an equitable number of slickers to go around. So I finally got new slickers ordered for them, and they have come, and oh my gosh, you guys, they're adorable. And again, not stitchy related, but I just had to share with somebody because Sophie's rain slicker is purple and it has rainbow unicorn rubber duckies on it. And oh my goodness, it's so cute. And Bear's is like dinosaurs. And so like they were already the cutest dogs in the neighborhood. I'm not biased, they just are. But now they're like taking it up a whole notch with the cuteness factor. And their little rain jackets. So I just had to tell you guys because it's like one of those little things that has given me so much joy this week, just seeing those little rain slickers. So yeah, I wanted to tell you all about it. So yeah, just one other thing before we get into the stitching, and that is I wanted to shout out another floss tuber. So this is somebody that Gary and I met when we were at StitchCon last summer, and we really enjoyed. There was a little group that we tended to kind of, we met a lot of really wonderful people, but there was one group that we tended to find ourselves in company with a little bit more often and stitching with these folks. And Milka, Milka is the stitcher. Milka was one of those, and she was just so sweet and so kind and just a really warm person. And she has a Flosstube channel, and she hasn't made videos for a couple of months. And so I was really excited to see her recently put up a new video. And so I wanted to tell you about her channel because I just really enjoyed spending some time with her, watching her video. She did a whip parade, and everybody loves a whip parade, and she's working on a lot of really beautiful pieces. And so I just wanted to let you guys know about her channel. I know she's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And so I hope you'll go check her out. Like I said, everybody loves a whip parade, and she's got so many pretty pieces, and I'd love to help her get her channel up to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So I hope you will go check her out. And yeah, sorry, brain. But yeah, please go check Milka out, and I hope you'll subscribe to her channel. All right, stitchiness. Let's talk about what Gary and I have been working on for the last couple of weeks. So the first thing I have to show you is my full coverage piece. I am working on Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am stitching this 2/1 on 28 count white Lugana, and I am using a combination of half stitch and tent stitch. So the last time you saw this, I had not made a ton of progress, but I was where I was. So we were starting to see the outline, a fairly clear outline for the front doors of the inn. And then above those front doors, there's kind of this like half circle decorative. I'm not sure if it's meant to be stained glass or if it's just a medallion or a carving of some kind, but quite a bit of that was really becoming clear. And then up, a little bit further up on the section of pages that I'm working on, there's this sort of like heart trim border thing that goes across the porch that's on the second level of the house. And so I'd started working on that. So this is where I am right now. I was really quite pleased with the progress I made the last time I worked on this. So as you can see, I've done quite a bit as far as stitching in the left front door. This is a double door and the doors are open, but I've stitched that in. You kind of can get a sense of, some stuff going on the inside of the house, although, you really can't see any detail. The top, whatever this decorative element is here, whether it's a medallion or windows or what, that's all been stitched in, and I was really pleased with the level of detail that came through there. As you can see, this kind of decorative scroll work here is mostly stitched in now, and so we've kind of got that nice framing around the front entrance. Started stitching the right side front door, and then this kind of little brown section here is actually the hair and head of the proprietress of the inn, and she's standing at the doors to welcome her guests. And so it was fun to kind of get to start stitching on her a bit. And then I'm kind of starting to carry over the siding and the white trim here, as well as made more progress in stitching in this kind of heart trim border that's up on the second floor porch here. So I was really surprised at how many stitches I managed to get on this because I had some fairly heavy confetti. There was a lot of white stitching, which tends to be really slow going, and lots of confetti. But it was nicely mixed in with kind of some bigger blocks of color. And so it just made for a really enjoyable stitching experience and a really pretty good amount of progress. This is one that every time I work on it now, I'm really enjoying it, and I really look forward to getting to work on it again. And so, I'm happy with where it is and looking forward to this one. So that is Rose Trellis In. Okay, the next thing I worked on was my Fancy Lady. So I am stitching At the Met by Mirabilia, and I am stitching this 2/2 on a piece of 32 count Aztec red linen by Weeks Dye Works. And I am using the called for flosses with the exception of I am doing a 1/1 skin conversion on the woman. So the last time you saw this, we were, let's see, where was I the last time you saw this? I had done a lot of there's an arch that frames the woman. And I had done a lot of the top section of that arch. And then as it starts to come down on either side of her, there's a place where there's two kind of tassels that are hanging down. And so I had started stitching on one of those tassels, but it wasn't complete. I had also started stitching, I had finished kind of the bead work that's in her hair and hanging down the back of her head. And I had stitched all of her face and her neck and had started kind of stitching in a fair bit. I had stitched in one of her shoulders and a fair bit of kind of like her neck, chest, shoulders area, and had kind of started to move down her arm. But there was some big gaps of 1/1 stitching that I hadn't done there. And I was also just beginning to stitch on part of the sleeves of her dress, or the straps of her dress. So this is where I am right now. Now, this doesn't probably look like a ton of progress, but bear in mind that I did a lot of 1/1 stitching. And so when you go from a regular cross stitch to 1/1, you're doing 4 stitches for what would have been every 1 stitch. And so there's actually quite a few stitches that have been put into this, even though the actual ground cloth coverage is not changed a lot. But I've started to carry down more of the sides of this arch here. I now have stitched in both of these hanging decorative tassels. This whole section here where, her neck and shoulders and chest area, that's now completely filled in. And I've started carrying down her arm here on this side, as well as started stitching in her arm on that side. And then have made some really decent progress on stitching down through her straps of her dress and her bodice. So still plenty to do, but I feel like I've made, I'm really happy with the progress I did make on the 1/1 skin. Even though I still have arms to do, she's coming along quite well, and I'm pretty satisfied with where we are on this one. So yeah, looking forward to working with her again, but that is where she is. One thing I wanted to mention, just looking at this, when Connie and I were hanging out last week, one of the things we chatted about was, we were talking about different pieces that we've stitched. We've both been stitching for a very long time, and we've stitched, I think, some of the same pieces or some of the same kind of, Fancy Lady. Well, I don't know if she stitched any Fancy Ladies, but I was thinking about it as I was stitching this week, and I was watching someone who, I forget who it was, but they showed one of the charts, one of the Fancy Lady charts that I have, that I've actually had for something. I've had a design in my stash for over 30 years now, and I've never stitched it. I loved it the first time I saw it. I still love it today, but it's a design that does not fit with my design, with my aesthetic as far as how I decorate my house. And I was just thinking about it this week, working on her, and Connie and I had talked about it last weekend, and I'm just kind of curious. I'd love to hear from you guys. When you pick designs that you stitch, do you just stitch on them because it's something that you love and you think is beautiful? Or do you stitch on it because you have an end goal in mind of, I want to display this in my home? Because I have a tendency to stitch things that, I'm like, I intend to display this in my home. But as I stitch more and more Fancy Ladies, like, that's not really my design aesthetic. I'll use them for, seasonal decorating, but I don't have any intention of having a ton of Fancy Ladies hanging up on the wall all over the house. That's just not the look that I want. And I think Gary would probably not enjoy that either.
Nope.
So,
and I stitch whatever.
He does.
Either hang it up or give it away.
So, but yeah, I was kind of curious about that. And I know there are stitchers out there like Brian Blitzstitch, who he's got a whole collection of things he's stitched that, some of his things he does fully finish and frame and display, but he's got quite a few things that he has finished that, I don't think he ever intends to display anywhere. And I know there are some stitchers out there who just stitch a design because they love to stitch it and they don't care if it's never, on display anywhere. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. When you choose what you're going to stitch, how much are you influenced by having an intention of putting that on display somewhere in your home or giving it as a gift versus just, I'm stitching this design because I love it and I don't have any intention of ever putting it up anywhere. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious to get a sense of, where everybody stands on that. All right, why don't we take a break from my stitching and let's talk to Gary about what he has been working on. Gary, over to you.
Okay, so as you know, I'm working on Captain America, and that is designed by Awesome Pattern Studios, which is an Etsy shop. I just like saying Etsy shop because it's Etsy shop. And it's stitched on 17 count pewter Ada with a called for DMC. Anyway, the last time that you saw this, I was close to done. I'm kidding. I was close to finishing the center. Unfortunately, I did not spend as much time as I should have spent on this. I did spend some time on it, and I was working in the center. And if you look at it now, you can see that I've basically just added some more of the blue that's there. And as I mentioned before, the thing about this one is you have to be really careful. I can tell you that there are mistakes all over this, but you'll never find them. And because it's all about counting. Anyway, that's not a complaint. It's a complicated piece. And I'm glad I did it because of the experience, but there it is. Anyway, so I'm working on the center. I know that my goal was to have it done by the end of the month. And I'm going to continue on that goal. Amy's going to be out of town for a bit. While she's gone, it'll just be me and the dogs and video games potentially, and maybe some more filming where I make money. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to actually make a real push to get this done before the end of the month, which is way before Amy gets back. So that's where I am in Captain America. It kind of bugs me because you can't see the whole thing because a lot of it, like his head and his shield, is covered up because you had to move it over in the Q-snap, which isn't a big deal, but I really want to see the whole thing done. When I finish the section that I'm working on now, I'll have to slide it over to the right a little bit to finish up some stuff that's on my left, on the left side. But other than that, I really don't see it taking me past this coming week to get that one finished. So that's where I am on Captain America. And so I guess the next piece that I'm working on is Human Beings, and that is designed by the Demented Stitcher, which is also an Etsy shop. Get to say it again. Anyway, it's stitched on 16 count rock. I don't know why I laugh at this. It's stitched on 16 count rock salt Ada by Color and Cotton with the called for DMC. You don't really need to change that DMC on this one. It's pretty good as it is. Unless you wanted a different color scheme, you most certainly could, but it's a nice one as it is. So I guess where I was last time, I was trying to finish have to look over and see, I was trying to finish the S. I think I had a little bit of the S done. Mm-hmm. So that's where I was last time. Everything else was there, but a little bit of an S. If you look at it now, you can see that I finished the S, which was actually fun to do. There was a lot of challenges on how you carry that over without having like a line going all over the place from different places to start the sewing. So I had fun trying to figure out how to do that. And if you also look in the upper right of the S, right up in the upper right, this is right here, I guess, or left, I don't know. If you look up there by the S, you'll see a trademark. So I finished the trademark. I think they call that, what do they call that? That single stitch stuff?
Backstitch.
Oh, back. I think I did it wrong. I did 2 stitches instead of 1, but I don't care because it's a thick R and everybody likes a thick R. Anyway, so that's where I am on human beings. I don't know that I'm going to finish human beings by the end of the month, but I'm going to give it a try. The only thing I have left is all black. There's no more colors to put in there. I have to put in 100% organic, 2 borders, and varies by colors. All of those don't look like they're going to take that long. My biggest concern is getting the borders even or where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to start the border and move over, and then I'm going to do colors may vary, because then I'll have a place to stop the border on the other side, because it goes all the way across. But anyway, that's where I am on that one, and we'll see where I am the next time we talk on that one. Yeah, so that's that. And I guess there was a question about whether or not, I guess the question was, I don't remember who asked, and I apologize for that.
Linda.
Okay, it was a Linda, someone with an L in their name, which is close to R. Well, not too close, but at any rate, somebody named Linda asked if I had any crafty people in my family. The short answer to that is yes, but I think, to my knowledge, I'm the only one that does cross stitch. I never even thought of doing cross stitch. Even like for the first 10 to 20, maybe even 25 episodes, I was not going to do any cross stitch in this. It was all going to be about Amy. And then I decided I would do one. And I think the first one I did, or early along there, was Batman slapping Robin. So once I saw that you didn't have to do some fancy lady, you could do some fun stuff, I started cross stitching. And as far as who taught me how to cross stitch, Amy taught me how to cross stitch. She said you put it in here, then you go here, and you pull it tight, and all of that other sorts of stuff. Mostly, follow the pattern. So that's how I started cross stitching. I guess I started within the past 2 years, and that's where I am on it now. I've got some projects coming up. Speaking of which, as I mentioned in the last video, Satchmo 1, and I'll be working on Satchmo next. But at the advice of one of our wise and learned viewers, I'm also going to be working on Women Who Behave, so that when I get tired of working on Satchmo, I can go and work on something that's easy. I can't do 2 because I got a phone in my hand. But anyway, that's where I am on that, and I don't think I have anything else. But if I do, I'll just speak up, and we'll
As
go.
you do.
And we'll go. What? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do I what?
Do you think you'll have a new start by the next time we have an update, or are you just focusing on your finishes? I'm
going to focus on the finishes, but I kind of feel like our videos have been kind of quick lately. Mm-hmm. So I might want to get a new start going. I'd like to get Louis Armstrong started, but I'm not a promiscuous stitcher, so I'm having trouble getting between the two as it is. So I want to get these 2 done, and then I'll start another one. I guess 2 at a time. That's all I can handle. No more than 2. Anyway, so...
Are we still talking about cross stitch?
Of course.
Oh.
Anyway, that's it from me. I'm sure you've had enough. Back to Amy over there.
So... You guys, if you've been around here a while, you might remember I have a theory, and Gary just talked about, you just referenced it. I have a theory about like categories of stitchers. And so when Gary talks about a promiscuous stitcher, in my categories, my mental categories for stitchers, a promiscuous stitcher is somebody who has more than 10 whips. We have no judgment for that.
I judge.
And then like a polygamous stitcher is like somebody who has between 2 and 10 whips. So you're playing around with a lot, but you're not like out there.
I guess I'm a polygamist.
You're a polygamist.
Okay, not promiscuous.
And then there is that rare and elusive breed of stitcher that we know is the monogamous stitcher. And that's where Gary started. But he has left his monogamy behind when it comes to stitching.
Much like everyone else.
Welcome to our warm and wonderful party. Okay. All right, enough of that nonsense. We have one more whip to share with you, and that's my travel stitching, which you guys haven't seen in months. Like, I think the last time you saw this was around November or December. Because...
She hasn't seen it in months either.
Oh my goodness. This you got me all like kerflummoxed.
Yeah, promiscuous.
But for me, yes.
Yeah.
So this whip has been sorely neglected, but I took it with me last weekend when I met up with Connie, and so I finally got to put some stitches in it. And so what I am working on is the Happy Holidays pin pillow from the Christmas Cheer Pin Pillows set of charts or chart book by Jeanette Douglas Designs. I'm stitching all of these on the same big piece of 36 count Stars Hollow Blend linen by R&R Reproductions, and I'm using all the called for flosses. So the last time you saw this, it was a brand new start, but it was like the barest of new starts. I had put in maybe 25 stitches of the border, but hadn't even taken the border all the way around. So here's where it is right now. It's not exactly glorious progress, but it is progress. So I carried the border down further around. You can see I started putting in some of the leaves that are in the border, and then I started stitching on this pretty red poinsettia that's up across the top here. So this one, it was really nice to get this one back out. I'm sad that I haven't worked on it for several months, but I'm really happy that it's now back out and getting some progress. And it's about to get a lot more progress. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But at any rate, yes, I'm happy to have this one moving forward again because it's just been horribly neglected. So that's where I am on the Happy Holidays pin pillow. So talking about this and what's coming up over the next couple of weeks before we film again, I am actually, I have one more day in this current rotation to work on at the Met, and so that's for today. I don't know how much stitching time I'm going to get on that, so I'd love to think that I could get a big chunk of stitching time and make a good bit of progress. But this afternoon, Gary and my word.
Us too.
The two of us. Our nephew, it's our nephew's birthday party. He's turned 6, and it's going to be super fun because my sister-in-law is legendary for her amazing birthday parties, and she's just an incredible hostess anyway. She does these, like, her kids have the most amazing themed birthday parties, and it's just incredible. And this year, my nephew's birthday the theme is like firemen and fire trucks. And so his birthday party is going to be at one of the local fire stations, and there'll be firefighters there, and the kids will kind of get to see how a fire station works. It's going to be so cool. So we're going to his birthday this afternoon. And then I think we're doing an action figure hunt for Gary. We're going to go to the local store and see what they got. And then we're going to just spend some time hanging out together because tomorrow morning I leave for my trip to Kenya that I told you about in the last video. And so I'm hoping to get some stitching time, but we do have a lot of things going on today, so it may not be as much as I would like. But I will put in whatever time I can today on at the Met. And then on my trip, I am taking 3 pieces with me to work on, which is completely ridiculous. It's a work trip. It's going to be busy. It's probably a terrible decision to take 3 pieces, but I'm doing it.
You should really just take 2.
I know you're right.
I mean, take 3 if you want.
I'm going to, but you're right. I should only take 2.
Well, I guess I should not have spoken.
No, your opinion is appreciated.
Sounded like it.
So I'm taking, obviously my travel stitch. I'll work on that on airplanes and in airports and so on. And then for while I'm actually in country, if I get any stitchy time, I am taking my sampler, which is Blackberry House by Plum Straight Samplers. By the way, this is, so many of you know, this is a stitch along I'm doing with several folks, but one of them, who's my regular stitch along partner, is Sarah, Stitch Addict. She just recently, like the other day, just posted an update on her progress on this. And holy smokes, you guys, she's like almost done with it. I'm just like, she is tearing through this chart and it looks amazing. She's done a beautiful job, but I need to catch up. I'm so far behind her at this point. So I'm taking that one with me, and I'm really hoping that magically I'll get a lot done. I'm also going to take my seasonal design, which is Nice Snowflakes by Filigram. So looking forward to working on that one. And then Gary, I think, has already talked about he's going to be pushing for some finishes on his stuff. And maybe we'll get lucky and see a brand new start. We'll see. I don't know that I'll get any stitching in on my weekend design just because travel. But if we have something, any progress to share with you on that in the next video, we sure will. So I think that kind of does it for us, and we can wrap it up for today. But it's been super fun to spend some time with you. We hope you've enjoyed it as well. If you liked the video, please do hit the thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, we hope that you will hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you get notifications when we post new updates. As we've mentioned, we really enjoy interacting with you through the comments, so please feel free to leave a comment. And you can also send me email to globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com or follow progress between videos on Instagram @globetrotting_stitcher. So that does it for us today. Take care, happy stitching, and we'll see you hopefully fairly soon. It might be a little bit delayed because of my travels, but not too much delayed. So relatively soon we'll see you again. Take care, happy stitching, bye-bye.